Okay, in this video we're going to use Autodesk 123D Design to create our Memphis blocks ready for modeling. Fortunately, for most of the shapes, because they're simple and geometric, we can simply use the primitives from up the top. So remember that before you click, you need to type in the measurements, and using the tab key will change between the length, width and height fields. So you might need to have the block in front of you and to measure the actual size to get it accurate. I have one in front of me that is a square block, which is 80 by 80, and this is very important. For all of these components, we will be making them from 19mm pines, therefore we need to set the height to 19mm. Click to place. If I was doing a cylinder, it works in the same way. I might like to snap at this point into the right position, but remember not to click, because as soon as you click, the dimensions will be locked in place. So I'm going to snap to this corner, set my radius as 30, and once again my height as 19. Click to place. There's one other shape that we can do from the primitives. If you're using the updated version, there's a tool called the wedge. This is actually just a triangle. So radius is a circle that the edge vertices of this shape would fit into. So I'm going to go 50. Once again, the height is 19. If you had other geometric shapes, such as hexagons, you can use the prism tool. It works in much the same way. We set our radius, we set our height of 19, and then the last thing to set is the amount of sides that we would like. So an octagon, for instance, we would set the sides to 8. And as we change those, it happens in real time. 5 is the lowest you can go, because 4 is covered by the box and 3 is covered by the wedge. Some of our other shapes we need to draw ourselves, and we do that with the sketch tools. Common shape that could be drawn would be a crescent from a circle or an arc. So to do this, we would put in the dimension of the circle we need, and then use tools such as polyline to segment that up. Just to create the shape I have in front of me, I'm going to add one more circle on the inside, and this here is enough without tidying it up to create the shape that I need. I can click on here, come to extrude, and once again 19 is the number that we're aiming for. I will create 2 more shapes that I have in front of me. Very important to measure to get these as accurate as you can. You can also use the grid. For instance, I'm going to use the grid here. I've come in 2 from the edge, so once again I'll come in 2 from this edge. So we've created a trapezius here. Extrude 19. And the last shape that I have in front of me is a rectangle with a semicircle cut out. So I'm going to use the grid to snap and get it accurate. And then I'm going to sketch a circle. The triangle appears to show me that I'm snapping to the midway point. Once again, I don't need to trim any of these lines. I can if I want, but it's not necessary. I can simply click on the part that I want, come to extrude and type in our same measurement of 19. Once you're finished with these sketches, you can click on part of it and press delete, or if you like, you can just come over to here and hide your sketches. So that will be your first step, creating all of the blocks. The second step is to align them. The main tool you will use is the normal move tool. By clicking on this, we can then come up in multiples of 19 if we want things to be in line with each other, and then move them into position with the other tools. It's never a good idea to simply click and drag to place something. You lose all concept of where it actually is, and the same thing will happen when you're moving if you drag from there or use one of these discs here, because they do lock 2 of the planes but not all of them. other tool that you might like to use is the Align tool. If you click on all of the shapes you would like to align, holding Shift to add to that selection, and then come to Align, we'll be presented with these 9 buttons. Hovering the mouse over the buttons will give you a preview of what will happen if you then click. So in this one, it's showing me that this bottom block is going to move to be in line sideways. If I wanted these two surfaces on the outside to be in line, it should be this button here, and I hover over, and now when I click, it slides it in. Click the tick when you're finished. To speed things up a little bit, one other tool you might like to use is the magnetic snap tool. I would recommend having group snapping off. Otherwise you then need to ungroup things later on to move them around. But a good way that this works is to click on one surface and then click on the other. The first surface you click is of the shape that will move. That's saved me a little bit of time getting this aligned. I can then use the normal move tool to get it in place, or the align tool to get it exactly on that edge if that's what I wanted. One other tool would be to copy and paste. So if you click on something and go Control C to copy, Control V to paste, it looks like nothing has happened, but it has put another copy immediately on top of the first one. So I could then bring this out and use the various tools to put it into position. The last thing that you'll need to do is to apply materials. And because we haven't grouped anything, this should be quite straightforward. You can click on the material box, move it to where we can see, and now click on here. Now if we're simply changing the colors, all we need to do is click overlay and then change the color wheel to wherever we want. Click off, click on a new shape, change the color, this one to be yellow, this one to be white, and so forth. Keep in mind when you're assembling these that not only as a building must there be passageways to walk between the various shapes, but also when you're making it out of timber, you need to be able to put in things like biscuit joints or domino joints or dowel joints to hold the whole thing together. So make sure you have sections overlapping, because as part of your annotation for this, you're going to generate a drawing which shows where these various pieces of joinery are. The other thing you need to keep in mind is setting up a nice screenshot to then put in Photoshop to show your preview of how your building will look. So to do this, make sure that perspective is turned on instead of orthographic, and then experiment with different camera angles to match the photo that you've got off the internet from worksheet 6. And then the new updated version, there's a capture screenshot button. Otherwise you'll have to use print screen and then paste that into Photoshop.